Good evening and welcome to yet another episode of South African of the Year Daily Show here on ANN7 Channel 405, the show where we go into the lives of extraordinary and inspiring South Africans doing incredible things around the country through the lens of reflection and progression. My name is Maps Mapunyane. This
evening we sit down with an incredible woman who not only has the brains to innovate the level of pre-primary education in our country, but also has the heart to give. A master's graduate from the University of Birmingham with an MSc in Poverty Reduction and Development Program. She is the founder and director of Launchpad Learning, which is a chain of Montessori preschools, which has a strong focus on young kids learning different languages in a combination of either English and Mandarin or English and Zulu. She is a nominee in the Business Innovator of the Year category. Please welcome Leisl Algeo. Welcome to the show, Leisl. Congratulations on your nomination.
Thanks,
Leisl, thank you so much for joining us. That was an absolute mouthful, so I want to take it back to basics all the way to the beginning. What were a young Leisl's dreams and aspirations?
Wow. So I should probably say up front, I'm a med school dropout. And so I started med school with the intention of sort of wanting to help people, but it was very vague and I didn't know what that looked like. And so did 3 years in med school. In my third year was actually in hospitals and saw a lot of people dying, unfortunately. HIV/AIDS was just rife at the time. And so quickly exited that pathway, but still always knew that I wanted to help people and make a difference sort of to people who didn't have opportunities in life. And so I slowly then started evolving into this poverty reduction / business space. But it was a journey of a few years, yeah.
And here we are today with Launchpad Learning out I want to say in the interwebs, but it's not in the interwebs, it's out in the world. And wanted to find out, what gap did you identify in the education system for Launchpad?
Sure. 2 things. One was, at the time I was trying to get my son to learn a second language. So everyone says that under the age of 6 is the best time to learn languages, and absolutely everyone only started at grade 1 and up. And so that was the first piece. But the second piece was reading about early childhood development as a national poverty reduction strategy in India, actually. And how if you invested at this stage of life, you'd get the biggest return for your investment, both socially and economically. And so just in terms of the difference it can make in a child's outcomes in life, it just seemed like we really needed to focus on this stage of development.
Well, there's still a lot to come on her journey on how Leisl Algeo ended up in the space of focusing on languages and the importance of nipping them in the bud from a very early on age. Let's take a look at a day in her life.
My name's Leisl Algeo. I run a set of preschools called Launchpad, and we're a multilingual Montessori school. The theory behind the schools is just that children learn languages really easily under the age of 6. And unfortunately in South Africa, we only start to teach them a second language from age 6 onwards. And so really delved into this and tried to figure out how to get my son, who was 2 years old at the time, to learn Mandarin. And there was absolutely no options for a child to learn a second language. So what ended up happening was that I dragged my son all the way to 4 ways every once a week, and there would be a business Mandarin teacher who would try to teach him some Mandarin. And then during the week I would try to keep the Mandarin going, and then we'd pitch up there at the school again, and she'd be like, all the pronunciation's wrong, everything's wrong. So I realized he wasn't really going to learn the language that way. So specifically it's a Montessori school, and so what we're trying to do is firstly get a strong standard of what the academic piece of preschool looks like. So in our country, unfortunately, only 12% of preschool teachers are actually trained to be preschool teachers. So they don't understand child development, and a lot of the way we think about preschool is still sort of child care, as opposed to this is a time when you can educate kids. I sort of very vividly remember my dad coming back from London when I was about 10 years old. And he brought the London Times, he brought the magazine with. And they were featuring children who were in the middle of child labor in India. So they had some very searing images of like a 3-year-old boy carrying bricks across a yard and just crazy stuff. And I remember that as sort of the big thing that made me go, this is unfair, like this isn't something that should happen. We had kids that literally came in from rural KZN, said hello, and that was it. And one of them walked away. We used to call our what did we say? We used to say she's our Lani girl because she ended up with a very strong sort of northern suburbs accent, the way she spoke her English. But yeah, so that's the theory, and earlier this year I sold the business to a man called Sizwe Klasana, who's building a chain of schools across the country. Sizwe is really influential in education, and I really just wanted the model to have legs to grow because I've seen what it does for our kids, and so I'm hoping that we can do it for more and more kids.
A good day is the world with you in it. A good day is a heart with no limit. Show me forever, show me forever, know me forever, oh. Know me forever, know me forever, know me forever, oh.
Welcome back. You're watching the South African of the Year Daily Show. In studio with us, Business Innovator of the Year nominee, an incredible woman, just already learning so much from off camera, the stuff that you don't get to see, but we promise we'll bring it onto the camera. We're speaking to Leisl Algeo, who is the founder and director of Launchpad Learning. Leisl, do we now officially call it Future Nation Launchpad Learning or just Future Nation Launchpad?
Yeah, so we call it Future Nation Launchpad since we've integrated with the Future Nation larger school brand.
If you want to vote for Leisl for Business Innovator of the Year, all you need to do is SMS BIZS4 to 43043, or you can email BIZS4 to sativoting@ann7.com, or you can visit the ann7.com website, that's www.ann7.com, and follow the instructions to vote for Leisl Algeo for the Business Innovator of the Year category. Welcome back. We're still in studio with Leisl Algeo, the founder and director of Launchpad Learning, a program that helps pre-primary school kids learn critical subjects such as languages before they even start with grade 1. I would love to know one question, because this is another thing that I'm sure for a lot of people may raise concern. How do Montessori schools differ from regular schools, and where do you even bridge that gap effectively?
Okay. So I think the big difference is that Montessori is more focused on how a child learns and how to teach them to actually enjoy their learning. So we call it the love of learning. So I guess a lot of the misconception around Montessori is it's this free-for-all and kids wander around and do whatever they want to.
Be the individual that you are.
You know, if you want to go and paint on the wall, go do that. But actually, it's one of the most structured environments you'd enter. So when you walk into a Montessori classroom, everything is laid out at a child's level so that they're able to interact with it. And the big thing is that we believe that children have development cycles where they're more prone to learning something. So you know, when a child gets obsessed with jumping, for example, there's something going on in their brains, and if you can tap into whatever that is, they're more likely to learn the thing. And so that is what the Montessori model allows for. It allows a child to follow their interests. And then as a teacher, instead of sort of going, okay, you seem really interested in cars, great, but I really want you to do maths, so now you're going to do maths. The teacher's role is to go, okay, what are you really interested in? What motivates you? And how do I attract you to this other subject through what motivates you? And so children are, the big focus is that they are enjoying their learning process, and they accelerate really well through Montessori because a lot of it is play-based material. So they're just interacting through play.
Not just a beauty with brains, but a husband and a wife to a husband, and also having two beautiful boys. We spent some time with her husband. This is what he had to say.
My name is Leisl Algeo. I'm married to Leisl Algeo for the last 10.5 years and very much enjoying the journey we're on. We met at a 21st party of a mutual friend and have grown through our relationship and marriage. We get to share a lot of our lives together and very much on a path together. She's a deeply passionate person with strong convictions and trying to make a difference in the world. At times very vocal and challenging, but just deeply passionate about trying to make sure that the vulnerable and I think insecure in society at least have a voice and have an expression. I see her having various roles in our life, so she's a wife and a mother, and very committed and very lateral thinking in the way that she can approach bringing up the boys. She's also a strong, driven career woman, ambitious and trying to achieve things within her role outside of our household and so on. And then I think she wears another cap of being an activist, where she takes on social issues, where she takes on issues for or causes for even just individual people or individuals within our lives or groups together. And at times she's wearing all three of those caps quite well. Sometimes she focuses on one more than the other. But it's great to see her be able to interact and move between those within our life. You know, I think outwardly she's an activist, so she'll take on causes for individuals or people that she thinks are of real importance and needs changing. And with being an activist, I think at times she does an incredible job of championing issues for people and for herself. I think as well she will be confrontational to people on issues, be prepared to get into an argument, really be prepared to try and persuade people, and all of that comes with the territory of trying to sway opinion and resources on what could be a worthy cause.
I love how Mr. Algeo was carefully navigating certain words, you know, choosing to be diplomatic as opposed to saying stubborn, you know, being more creative about how he explains it. But one of the things that he said about you, Leisl, is that you are not afraid to get into a situation where it's confrontational, but because you're taking on serious issues, you know. Looking at the Department of Basic Education in our country, what would you say they are getting right and where is there room for improvement?
Okay. I think there's a lot of infrastructure change happening, and it's really important to just get the basics right. I think that children need to feel safe in an environment where they're able to learn effectively. And I think if you also look at sort of the effects of poverty, there's a lot of trauma that comes out of being in the stress of poverty. And so the safer you can make a learning environment, the more prone children are to learn. I think that we still have some work to do around just thinking what the future looks like. And so the estimate is that in 20 years' time, 50% of the jobs that we have today will no longer be there. And we don't know what those jobs, the new jobs, will look like. And so whilst I think we're working on sort of the basic skills that we've always worked on, there's a lot that we need to start thinking about to train children for when they hit those jobs of the future.
It's so true. Someone was saying about the syllabus, they were making a comment that, you know, oh, it's so interesting. I've never used a parallelogram in my in my adult life, but, you know, maybe being taught how to do taxes and doing things that can actually help you on a day-to-day basis and just to be a functioning citizen of the country.
Exactly.
100%. Well, you not only have a big heart in terms of focusing on the upliftment of education throughout the nation, but also you have a big heart in welcoming another home or another family into the heart of your home, or the home of your heart, so to speak. You've adopted an entire other family from Orlando in Soweto, and you're not only, of course, are required and needed by your husband and your 2 sons. So we got to spend some time with Leisl as she spent her time with this family that she's adopted, her whole other family, and this is what they had to say about her.
O ke nna Uma Mageta, ke dula ko Soweto, ko Orlando West. Ke tsebile Lizini Marcel Khalenyana ya nthusa jwale be le re o thusa Gauta wa kana ke na sekolo. Lizini ko hotla mo a tla ka Gauta ha fitla mo na Lizini ke ha qala a thusa Gauta go kena sekolo. A mo kenya sekolo le ko Unisa mo patalla Unisa o itse ho tloa mo ka bona a study cruiser kore every month na fa 700.
A person who has a good heart, a person who loves helping people, a person who don't want to see people struggle, a person who has the courage to say stop to things which are not good, a politician, a person who wants to see our country great. That is Leisl for me. I'm from a very poor background where I come from. Then Leisl and husband, let me say Algeo family, they kept on like supporting our family with groceries. Then when come Christmas time, we'll also be happy like any other family. Then they'll be like big groceries for our family. So like they keep on helping my family, like whole lot of stuff, like furniture, like I'll say microwave. In my family we didn't have any microwave. We used to, if you want to warm some food, then we have to use the pot like by the stove. So it was like a great experience for my family when she brought that microwave to our family. Then we just had to just switch on, then warm the food. It was super exciting time for our family. But like, she has brought like happiness in our family.
You know, I said at the beginning of the show that she not only has the brains to innovate in terms of the level of education in our pre-primary sector, but she has the heart to give. And this is exactly what I was referring to. Of course, talking about the impact that Leisl has had on their family. And Leisl, I think what Gauta said at the end there, that forget the tangible things of the microwave, the furniture and whatnot, but you've brought happiness into their lives. And what you were speaking on earlier about the trauma that poverty actually has upon a child when they're going through their learning. What would you advise other people in terms of giving? Because what I've seen here is that you have a relationship. It's more than you arrive, you drop off groceries and you leave. How should we as people be thinking about the future ways of giving to actually make a real impact in people's lives?
I think, so I'm from a colored community. And if I look at a lot of what's happening there and in our black communities, children don't have fathers. Support structures are sort of difficult sometimes. A lot of people move from somewhere else to Johannesburg and they don't have a family around them. And a lot of the issues that come up is just because people don't know. So in my mind, if you can pair your giving or however you want to contribute with developing a relationship with the person, that is the ideal.
You know, people also think that, you know, first of all, they can't even help a single person. You know, besides the fact that we know we can't help everyone, you've decided to focus on one family. Why that?
There's probably a couple of reasons. One was when I was studying, I fostered 2 little boys from a children's home, and so they were from an HIV orphanage. And I think seeing sort of, I worked at the orphanage in general, but focusing on these two little boys. They were eventually adopted, and one of the reasons the social workers said they were is because they had had this concentrated time in a family environment, and so when parents came to sort of engage with them, they could really engage, and that attracted parents to them. So I think, you know, whilst for me scale is important and how much we can spread things, I think being a champion for one person or for, you know, a smaller unit is really important. I've really had the privilege of, I took my boys to Uganda last year, and we worked in a school in Kampala, and I've had the privilege then of being introduced to a young boy who was a refugee from South Sudan. And so we've been communicating on Facebook, and again, just understanding the dynamics of what you listen to in the news and actually getting it from a young boy's perspective. They're two different things.
Remember, if you want to vote for Leisl Algeo, all you need to do is SMS BIZS4 to 43043, or you can go to the website ann7.com and follow those instructions to cast your vote for her. Or, of course, you can email BIZS4 to sativoting@ann7.com. A woman who loves to have fun through everything that she does, a woman with a big heart. We'll have more after the break for a bit more fun and games now with Leisl Algeo. Stay tuned.
Probably the most important advice I can give is just start. So a lot of people kind of spend a lot of time going, okay, this is what I want to do, but I need to have X, Y, Z in place, and I need to know so much, and blah, blah, blah.
You tune into the South African of the Year Daily Show with myself, Ulisani Ravera, and Maps Napunyani, as we get up close and personal with all the nominees and leading down to that prestigious event, 25 November, Ticket Pro Dome. Will you be there? Well, this nominee will certainly be there. It's Leisl Algeo, Business Innovator of the Year. Leisl, as Matt said, you know, we've gotten to know you, really gotten to pick your brain and understand your heart and your mind, but now we want to see how much you know about your country. But at least it's something that we have tried to incorporate your line of work, so it shouldn't be too difficult.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Let's go.
All right, 5 questions. Here we go.
I'm going to go in a bit nice and light on you, just to warm you up. How long is an ordinary school lifespan in South Africa?
12 years?
From grade R.
From grade R. 13.
I was about to say, we have to be clear about that, because now there's grade naught.
Depends which school you go to.
But we'll give that one to you. Next question. How many state capitals are there in South Africa?
State capitals. So Pretoria, Cape Town, and Bloem.
What? We were just out here asking you for the number, but you went and gave us all of them. That's correct. So Pretoria, we've got our administrative capital, Cape Town legislative, and of course Bloemfontein being the judicial capital. She's got her stuff on lock.
Engineers, scientists, and accountants all require which scarce skill?
Engineers, scientists, and accountants. Maths.
There we go. Nice and easy.
I feel like these are too easy now. Question number 4. An average 4-year-old would ask how many questions in a day? Is it 437, 101, or 12 questions?
I'm going to go with 437. In fact, I think it might be more.
Well, on average, yes, a 4-year-old asks 437 questions a day. I am not ready for this, guys.
I'm so sorry. It seems like you've been through a lot of that. What is the biggest focus on conduct problem in children? What is the biggest focus and conduct problem in children? Is it TV, board games, or sweets? Television, board games, or sweets?
I'd say television.
Correct.
5 out of 5.
Easy 5 out of 5. Ladies and gentlemen,
Yay.
wouldn't you want to send your children to a Montessori school with someone like
teacher
this
like
behind
this?
us? You know?
Leisl, what is the future of Future Nation Launchpad as now it is officially known?
I think what's exciting for me is that we piloted last year, we piloted a lower cost version of the school. And next year, we're going to pilot an even lower cost version of the school. So for me, that's really exciting. I think the second thing is that being able to do the schools in more affordable areas. What we found when we did our first sort of lower cost school is that we had kids who were first language Zulu speakers, literally from rural KZN, said hello when they got to us. And we put them into an environment with English speakers who were learning Zulu, and they obviously were learning English. And by the end of it, they both had, you know, really great skills in both languages, which for me is really cool. And then Future Nation in general, I'm just really excited about what the future of education looks like, and the fact that we're trying to develop a world-class African version of what education in the future could look like.
I think the amazing thing about that is that it's Africans with African solutions for African people.
Right.
This is us doing our own thing. And I'm hoping that with the low cost thing that you're talking about, it means that we're going to be seeing Future Nation Launchpad in townships as well.
Yes,
Awesome.
we've got one launching next year already.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And for something like this to continue working, you have to be continuously innovative, which is something that you have been since 2013. And it's only been 3 years and you've done so much. What tips would you give out there for people who are looking to be as much of a business innovator as you've been?
So I would say read a lot, expose yourself a lot, watch TED Talks, listen to people who are innovating. They've got so many ideas. But probably the most important advice I can give is just start. So a lot of people kind of spend a lot of time going, okay, this is what I want to do, but I need to have X, Y, Z in place, and I need to know so much and blah, blah, blah. And you will never be fully ready. And so start where you're at, even if it's with 3 children and 2 of them are your own, and at least get a grounding and then go from there.
I think one of the things that you spoke of in an interview I watched with you about just exposing yourself, that if you have the opportunity and you're watching right now and you have the opportunity to study overseas and that's something that's open to you, take it. Because what you said from that interview is that being exposed to people who are dealing with the same kind of problems we are, but on a global and international scale, you get so much insight from other territories. Just what you were saying about learning about the case study that you learned in India, and we're now able to apply that to here. It's just incredible. Leisl, final question before we say goodbye. You are in a category with amazing innovators as well, the likes of Becky Kunene, Connie and Shauna Ferguson, Sylvester Chauke.
Yes.
If you were not to win the award, who would you vote for?
So I think I would go for Becky. I think it's probably obvious why, but I'll say it anyway. So I love the fact that he is doing his work in a township, and the fact that he is creating a really strong brand in a township. I think that too often we leave where we came from and there's not enough links back so that people who are struggling have a mentor to look to. So that for me is really exciting.
Well, Leisl, we know your time is very scarce and we really appreciate you spending time with us and coming on the show. And we look forward to seeing how it all spans out for you, and good luck for all that lies ahead.
Thank you so much.
And good luck, of course, with the nomination as well. To you at home, I hope that, again, this conversation has left you enlightened, and that, who knows, maybe a Future Nation Launchpad is coming to a corner around you and you'll be getting educated with your future. I don't want to say a spawn, it's such a rude word, but with your future little ones. But thank you for watching the South African of the Year Daily Show. Vakana Kombe Ravelendi Madekwana Budi.